Good afternoon. Today we will be doing section 1.9, arithmetic sequences. We are also going to talk about geometric sequences. They don't mention them a lot in your book, but I wanted you to be aware of them as well. Okay? So once again, pause, write this down, and then press play when you're ready. An arithmetic sequence comes about when each term is found by adding the same number to the previous term. Now, a sequence is just a list of numbers. So for example, 2, 4, 6, 8, and it's going to go on and on, okay? In an arithmetic sequence, it says I'm adding the same number, and the same number is very important because if I'm adding a 1 and then a 2 and then a 3, it's a sequence because it's a number or group of numbers that has an order, but it's not an arithmetic sequence. So if you look at this sequence here, what I'm doing to each term is I'm adding 2 to it to get the next term. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So this would be an arithmetic sequence. Now, a geometric sequence is found when each term is found by multiplying the same number. So once again, it's the same number. So in arithmetic, it's adding. For geometric, we are now multiplying. Okay, same number to the previous term. So for example, okay, here's my list of numbers, and there's some order to that numbers, and what I'm doing is 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So to get each term, I'm multiplying the previous term times the same number, and it has to be the same number. Okay? So once again, arithmetic sequence, adding the same number to each term, geometric, multiplying the same number to each term. Okay, as we go through this, if you can't remember, just flip back to this page or flip back to your notes so that you can remember and get those ingrained in your head. So we're going to start off with describing the relationship between the terms in the arithmetic sequence. Then write the next 3 terms in the sequence. Okay? So describing the relationship means I want to know, and I know it's arithmetic, what I'm adding to each term to get the next. Okay? So I'm going to start with that. So what am I doing from 4 to 7, from 7 to 10, from 10 to 13? Well, I know 4 plus 3 is 7. We're going to test it out, make sure we're right. 7 plus 3 is 10, and 10 plus 3 is 13. So the relationship or the pattern that I see is I'm adding 3. So I'm just going to put plus 3. You could also put adding 3 would be fine to each term. Okay, now that's part 1. Notice that there's 2 parts. It says then write the next 3 terms in the sequence. So my last term is 13, so I'm going to add 3 to 13. So 13 plus 3 is 16. There's my first of the next 3 terms. 16 plus 3 is 19. And 19 plus 3 is 22. Okay, so that's the second part. So here's my pattern. Here's my next 3 terms. Okay. Same thing for this one. So what am I doing? Now these are decimals, but it's the same process. What am I doing to get to each new term in the problem? Okay. Now 1.0. What am I doing to get to 1.3? Well, I know I'm adding 0.3. Now see if it keeps going. 0.3 plus, or 1.3 plus 0.3, or 3/10 if you want to say it that way, is 1 6/10, 1.6. 1.6 plus 3/10 again is 1.9. It's going to keep going. So my pattern here is to add 0.3. Or you can write add 0.3 to each term. Okay, and then my next 3 terms. So 2.2 plus 0.3 would be 2.5. 2.5 plus 0.3 would be 2.8. And 2.8 plus 0.3 would be 3.1. Okay, so once again, this is the first part. And this is the second part of my problem. Now it says describe the relationship between the terms in the geometric sequence. And if you remember, geometric is when I multiply each term by the same number. Then we're going to write the next three terms in the sequence. So to go from 10 to 20, what are you doing? I'm multiplying by 2. 20 times 2 is 40. 40 times 2 is 80. So my pattern is to multiply by 2. So I'm going to write multiply each term by 2. Okay, here's my first part. And then the next three terms, 80 times 2 is 160. 160 times 2 is 320. 320 times 2 is 640. And once again, this is part 2. Okay, one more set. All right, so I'm going from 4 to 20, from 20 to 100, from 100 to 500. What am I multiplying by? All right, so I know 4 times what is 20? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 5, is it 100? Yes, it is. 5 times 2 is 10, and add my 0. And then 100 times 5 is 500. So I'm going to multiply by 5. So we can water it out and multiply each term by 5. Okay. Then I'm going to continue the pattern. So I'm going to take 500 times 5, and I know 5 times 5 is 25. And I'm going to add my 2 zeros, 1 and 2. I'll get that out of there. So 2,500. Multiply that by 5. Now, if you ever can't do it in your head, you're going to take it to the side. Five times 0 is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Add your 2. And we have 12,500 as my next term. Okay, and then the last term, maybe I should break this up with a different color here. So here's our commas separating. I'm going to take 12,500 and multiply that by 5. So I have 0, 0, 25 again, carry my 2, 10, 12, carry my 1, and I get 6. So I have 62,500. So here are my next three terms. So once again, here's part 1, and here's part 2. Okay, hopefully that helps you figure out about our geometric and arithmetic sequences. Once again, if there's something you missed or you're not sure about, you can always add a discussion to this podcast or ask me in class. Thanks. Have a great night.